evening, and welcome to Story Hour. I'm Laura Blackwell, tonight's host. My co-host, Daniel Marcus, started Story Hour to help everybody stay connected in the early days of the pandemic with everyone staying inside. And it's just been so nice around this virtual campfire every Wednesday. I keep coming back. Daniel is taking a break for a little bit, but the fabulous Cliff Winnig, a regular and irregular reader, has stepped up to help with the hosting duties tonight. Could not do it alone. So welcome back to those of you who are returning to Story Hour, and welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. As always, we have two writers reading for their favorite nonprofits. Tonight's readers are Vanessa Fogg and Kat Rambo. If you are fortunate enough to help others during this time, please consider a donation to tonight's featured nonprofits, Neural Pro-Choice America and SFWA, SFWA. Vanessa Fogg is reading for Neural Pro-Choice America. The 2.5 million members of Neural Pro-Choice America fight for reproductive freedom for every body. Each day, Neural organizes and mobilizes to protect that freedom by fighting for access to abortion, care, birth control, paid parental leave, and protections from pregnancy discrimination. Like 77% of Americans, Neural believes in the legal right to abortion. They are the foot soldiers who work to ensure that abortion access is not only protected, but expanded. Since 1969, Neural's member-driven campaigns have propelled political and cultural change at every level, from the State House to the White House. You can learn more about Neural at prochoiceamerica.org. Kat Rambo is reading for the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America. SFWA's purpose is to promote, advance, and support science fiction and fantasy writing in the United States and elsewhere by educating and informing the general public and supporting and empowering science fiction and fantasy writers. SFWA hosts the annual Nebula Awards at its annual Nebula Conference, assists members in legal disputes, offers a speakers bureau, and administers grants to science fiction and fantasy community organizations and members facing medical or legal expenses. You can learn more at sfwa.org. If you are joining us on Zoom, feel free to leave your camera on. It can be very nice for our readers to see human beings listening to their stories. Chime in on the text chat if you like. If you're joining us on Facebook, thank you so much, but please understand that we may not be seeing your messages regularly. We'll catch up with you. Our first reader tonight is Vanessa Fogg. Vanessa Fogg dreams of selkies, dragons, and a gritty cyberpunk future from her home in Western Michigan. She spent years as a research scientist in molecular cell biology and now works as a freelance medical writer. Her fiction has appeared in Liminal Stories, Daily Science Fiction, Giganotosaurus, and the Best Science Fiction of the Year, Volume 4. A complete and updated bibliography and more can be found at her website, vanessafogg.com. Vanessa is fueled by green tea. Vanessa, welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
We're delighted to have you back. So what did you bring to read for us tonight?
So I'm going to read fan fiction for a grim dark universe, and that was first published in Translunar Traveler's Lounge.
Wonderful. I'll drop the link for that in the Zoom for everybody. Vanessa, take it away.
Okay, well, here I start then. Okay, fan fiction for a grim dark universe. We didn't know the Dark Lord would raise an army of the dead. We never thought the young prince could turn traitor. We're menaced by ghost wolves, stranded in an outpost on the cold edge of the world, and all signs say that we are, as our first year master of geared operations planning would say, utterly fucked. And you choose now to go through my pack and ask me about the papers you found, to stand there with your eyes wide and confused and accusing, to ask if I wrote them and what they mean? Ah, fuck. Okay. Remember when I was on assignment to that minor world on the Opal sector? I found those stories there. I didn't write them. There's something called fan fiction. Yes, Jenna, the stories are about us. I went to that world to research the bleed-through phenomenon, how events in one world can leak through to another in the form of dreams, images, thoughts, and myths, how the death of the sun in one universe becomes the foundation for a religion in another, how the same heroes appear in different stories again and again under different names and faces. Narratives seep across worlds and time, reshaped and remade by artists and dreamers. On a minor world that exists at right angles to our own, the inhabitants have invented astonishing and wonderful forms of narrative, from their first pictures on cave walls to film and streaming video, from epic poems and novels to comics and digital games where players choose their own endings. And the consumers of such media in turn create their own. They write and share the stories, remix stories on digital forums. They applaud and leave comments and kudos. It's become quite popular as access to these platforms spreads. You're frowning. I'll get to the point. Look, of course I know that you're familiar with bleed-throughs. I don't mean to be condescending. It's just, give me a moment. This is awkward, right? Okay. So our own story is being told in that world, right now, or something very like it. The whole gang is there. Jin and Ratha and Angel and Tal and you and me, Masters An and Nehru, our academy days and the return of the darkness and the fall of the luminous pearl. It's a story called The Secret Guardians of the 10,000 Shining Worlds, and it's a comic book series. You know what that is? Hush, hush. Okay, you wake the others. This is why I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell anyone outside the commission. Yes, it's the only world, the only instance where we appear as a bleed-through. No one knows what to make of it. The series installments always came out with a storyline lagging cycles behind our real lives. Master Nehru thought about sending me to more worlds to try to find a more up-to-date version, maybe even something that would predict our timeline. An freaked out and said no. Pretty much the whole commission freaked out. I was freaked out too. We wanted to find practical applications for the bleed-through phenomenon, but this hit too close to home. And even so, it maybe still meant nothing. Nothing we could control, nothing we could use. There were budget priorities, resource issues. And then the Jade sector was attacked, and well, you know the rest. Your arm's bleeding again. Let me look at it. Don't give me that scowl. Here, we have a little healing ointment left. No, I'm fine, I swear. I don't need it. It's cold. Let me build up the fire. Yeah, that story you're holding? That's a good one. That's one of my favorites. Academy Hijinks High School Alternate Universe AU. The fan writers like to reimagine our story as set in their own version of the academy, usually in something called high school. They do this with all their favorite stories. There's so much silly drama in these fics, but it isn't that different from what really happened, is it? Okay, it is. We didn't throw nearly as many parties. I never saw you break curfew or get drunk in the dorms. You've never played spin the bottle or strip poker, never mind what that is. And Jin never pranked Master An like that. Can you even imagine? Although of course he would have wanted to. It's classic Jin. In real life, we didn't have much time for hijinks and personal drama. We were all studying and working so hard. It's funny to think now of how stressed we were, of how Ratha had stomach aches all of second year, and how Tal lost weight, and even Jin was retching from nerves during the gateway exams. We saw each exam and project as a matter of life and death, even when they weren't. Although to be fair, a good number were. We should have slacked off more though, blown off a reading or two, thrown parties, gone all in on Jin's proposed escapades, spent an afternoon just sitting in the academy gardens, soaking in the sun's warmth and watching the light move on the sea below. We were all together then. We didn't understand what that meant. Tal and Angel and Ratha and Jin and you and me, the rest of the 88th generation World's Guardian class. We were together and whole for the very last time, and none of us had any idea of what that meant. I'm sorry, it's just dust in my eyes, that's all. Some residual death dust from the last ghost battle, it's nothing. Ha, remember how much you disliked me then? How insanely competitive we were? You really did hate my guts that first year. I don't blame you. I was an obnoxious prick who thought he knew everything. I was flippant and rude and not even half as funny as Jin. I didn't know anything at all. Bakery shop at you. This is like the high school AU, and that we're all together and it's funny and sweet and very low stakes. In this one, you and I and Ratha and Tal are all working at a bakery when Angel and Jin open a rival shop across the road. Angel bakes the most heavenly of cupcakes. There's one with strawberry puree and buttercream frosting, and a fantastic lemon one, and a decadent one with caramel chunks and caramel drizzle frosting. Naturally, customers all flock to the new shop, and we become obsessed with besting the new bakery while also eating their cupcakes. Masters on and Nair are repeat customers to both shops, and they regularly lecture us all. Prince Co appears too, but he's not a traitor, just an earnest young man who loves sweets. No one betrays anyone, no one stabs or kills or imprisons anyone, no one even loses their job. Angel and Jin keep making their cupcakes, and to compete, our own shop adds a lunch menu and serves sandwiches with artisanal bread. Tal gets up her courage and finally asks Angel out. It's cute. It's all so cute. The writer even gave me some of the best lines. It's so much better than what really happened. Angst fix. Some of the stories aren't funny and cute. Some adhere closely to the Secret Guardian series, which in turn reflects our real universe and timeline. I hate the Secret Guardians. It does have its badass moments. There was so much I missed out on during my solo assignments, so much I didn't see or understand of the rest of the team's work. But in the Secret Guardians, I've seen those missing moments in their full color glory. Like when Tal stole the key to the Cinnabar Gate and made her way to the fallen planet of Ezathathar to rescue Angel all on her own, and how she did it, and how those two blasted their way out of the Iron Palace like two angels from hell, fire streaming in the wake like wings, the ancient walls of iron folding and melting behind them. Or that moment when Ratha finally stood up to his father and literally spit in the usurper's face. Or when Jin was caught by dark agents in Silver Sector 5, and how he bluffed his way out so perfectly, how he even turned the tables and extracted information from them. And you, Jenna, all the intelligence gathering missions you've led, the worlds that you've infiltrated, the knowledge you've brought back, your skill in balancing the time threads, calculating what's needed to tip a world away from the darkness. There's no one better. There's no one better in theory and execution. And the Secret Guardians comic captured it all. I wish I'd been with you on some of those missions, if only to watch you in action. I wish I'd been there in the Tigger throne room when you tore off your disguise to reveal your identity and you laughed in the Witch Queen's face. I wish I'd been there when you subtly brokered the peace deal on Lazar Anan, which brought that world out from a path leading toward the darkness. I wish I'd fought by your side at the Broken Truth Mountain. I wish I'd been there for you when your home world was lost. I hate the story unfolding in the comic books now. When I left the little world that calls itself Earth, the series had just reached the point where the entire Ruby sector was lost, and Ratha was maimed and tortured by his own brother. Jin was hurt too, but still alive. The rest of our old group was still alive. And incredibly, I still had hope. On Earth, I tracked down the woman behind the comic. She lives in a place called Toledo, Ohio, on a continent known as North America. She does both the writing and the illustrations for the series, and there's nothing remarkable about her at all. She self-published 2 graphic novels before Secret Guardians. She has graying hair and a soft laugh and a crinkle-eyed smile. She lives quietly with her husband and 2 spoiled cats, and whenever she's alone, her mind fills with images from different worlds. Our story has bled through to her. We don't know what it means. The Secret Guardians isn't well known, but its fan base is loyal and obsessed, even if small. I started reading the fan fiction on Master Nehru's suggestion. The original work has no useful content for us. As I said, it lags cycles behind our timeline. It only shows what we already know, and the writer has been getting slower as time goes on. Master Nehru wondered if some of the fan fiction, these strange echoes, the bleed-throughs of a bleed-through, might somehow reflect real alternate timelines, true threads not detected by other means. We wondered whether at least one fic might provide clues, guidance towards a hopeful future that we could steer ourselves towards. It's a crazy idea, I know. The whole project was crazy. Anyway, you're right. Focusing on the more canon-compliant fics does seem a reasonable place to start. But there was nothing there, and they hurt to read. Did you know that there were fan writers who set those stories in our universe, but they make things even worse? The orphanage that we saved on Tariff burns down after all, and the children's souls are harvested for the Dark Lord. Tal is exiled from the Guardians for stealing a gate key when she rescued Angel. Angel is lost to the Iron Palace. Rotha breaks under torture. Jin never returns from Silver Sector 5. A desperate last message is never delivered, and someone dies without knowing what they meant to another. I would never understand the writers who do this. These stories are just indulgent, angst-ridden fantasies. And then there are stories that don't alter the basic events, but they still revel in angst. They linger on the things that the comic series glosses over, that I myself try to forget. The nightmares and sleepless nights after the Oshuran disaster, the faces of all those that we couldn't save, the traumas and wounds that each one of us hold, the despair as we watched world after world fall to the darkness, the helpless rage of seeing what we once loved destroyed. There are fics that are just thousands and thousands of words that are only there to depict us all sobbing in grief and in pain. What the fuck, Jenna? Why do they want to hurt us this way? The canonical Secret Guardians is better. It skims past all of this to get to the plot, the action, moving forward. That's what our masters taught us at the academy, to swallow pain down, get a temporary mind erasure if needed, to keep going. Crack fanfics. The wind in the wolf house stopped. It's so quiet. There's only the snow falling outside. Prince Cole must know where we are by now, don't you think? Word must have reached him. We should check the defenses again. He'll be here by morning. No, I'm fine, I told you. I'm not feverish. Well, I don't feel feverish. Honestly, I've inhaled death dust before, and a scratch on my chest is nothing. I've been exposed to so much death dust on this world that I'm probably immune. My antibody titers are sky high. The doctors can make a study of me when we get back. What were we talking about again? Oh, my report, those papers you found, the fanfics. There are crack fanfics that are just wild, Jenna. Crossover AUs where they put us in worlds where ponies talk and have magical adventures, where robots disguise themselves as ground transport vehicles, where there are unicorns and mafia battles and terrifying cephalopods from space. There were fics that I couldn't understand at all, and there were ones so disturbing I wanted a mind erasure after. None of these fics were relevant, and I soon learned to filter them out. So many different fics, Jenna. I made a list, sorted them into categories. Most of them mean nothing at all. But people were thinking of us. Some of their thoughts are truly depraved, but they're thinking of us. A woman wrote down our story, and people read it. They want to know more. Fix it, fix. These are my favorite fanfics. These are the fics where the bad things never happen, where the story still takes place in our universe, but the universe took a different turn. Where Rotha's father wasn't trash, where he didn't turn to the darkness and try to force his son to do the same. Where Rotha wasn't maimed by his own brother, hurt by his own family, because he grew up in a completely different family, even though they bore the same name. And he came to us at the academy still sweet-faced and shy, but with a sense of self-worth and inner steadiness which he never possessed in real life. There are fics where none of us have been hurt, where all of us have known only kindness, where the time threads run backward and the very fabric of the universe bends. There's a fic where Master An builds a time travel machine, which is impossible, of course. And there's a me from the future that warns us all of the attack on the luminous pearl. And so that beautiful world, the Academy's home, our sector's heart, is not lost. Millions never die in the attack, and millions more aren't lost during the frantic evacuation. All our teachers were alive, and all the students who came behind us. The original Academy still stands where it did for 1,000 standard cycles, white and shining on the pearl-dusted cliffs above a dark blue sea. There were fics where no world ever fell, where the darkness never returned. It really was defeated aeons ago, just as we thought, and was still the guardians of 10,000 shining worlds, and there's still the lesser darkness of human hearts that can never be uprooted, but the threats we face are manageable. We keep the gates open. We work to spread light and knowledge. We travel the worlds and we're happy. There's a fic where I visit your homeworld with you. I once promised that I'd do so, and now it's too late. But nothing is too late in the fix-it fic. In this story, your parents and sisters are alive, and I meet them. I sit at your family table, and we eat the spiced stews and the sweet fruits that you boasted of. I pet your striped cat, whom you've had since you were a child. We wander through the famous outdoor markets, and you laugh as I clumsily bargain in your native tongue. It's a festival day, and everyone is wearing garlands of white flowers, so I buy garlands for us both. At sunset, we take a skyboat to the floating city above, and we watch the cloud towers glow crimson and gold, and then fade to lavender and blue with the dusk. Jenna, if I were the writer of a fix-it fic, we wouldn't be here now. We wouldn't be shivering in this outpost at the end of the world. Maybe we'd be on your home world or in mine, somewhere warm without winter. If this were a fix-it fic, I would have seen into Prince Co's deceptions. I wouldn't have relied so heavily on reports. I should have known there was a way to circumvent our truth tests. I would have looked past his pretty face. He reminds me of Jen, you know, that irreverence and humor and charm with that seeming earnestness beneath. Is that why I was caught off guard? In a fix-it fic, Jin's still alive. He didn't die trying to reach his doomed world. And Ratha never gave in to despair. He's alive and safe too. Tall and Angel didn't die alongside Masters Nehru and An and half our other colleagues defending the Jade Sector. They're all alive, everyone we ever loved, and countless more as well. The darkness is not growing. It is not overthrowing human hearts and swallowing star systems whole. And you and I are not in charge of those barely trained kids sleeping in the back room, because those kids are still in school, studying at the original academy, and maybe playing innocent pranks and throwing the occasional underground party. In a fix-it fic, there aren't even any such things as ghost wolves. This planet's Dark Lord shouldn't be able to raise an army of the dead. I thought we'd eliminated that trick long ago. What the hell? In a fix-it fic, I would have done so much differently. I would fix so much. This is the last fic. One time it was canon. I'm rambling. You used to hate it when I rambled like this. You always wanted me to get to the point. You've always been one to go straight to the heart. Why did it take us so long to meet up again, Jenna? How did we let so much time pass? Maybe I'm a little feverish from the death dust after all, but I metabolize it quickly. I'll be okay. Don't worry. Don't worry, please. You're right. I should get some rest now, and so should you. But there's something I have to say first. There's a question I haven't answered. It's a question that I know you've had since you first found that stack of fics. And I've been circling around it and babbling because I'm a coward and fool. And you've let me. Jenna, let me tell you about one last thing about the fanfics that I've read. On Earth, it's common for fanfiction writers to ship characters. That means to write them into romantic relationships. No wonder what their relationships are in canon. So you get wild ships between characters who barely know each other, or who would never, in all the potential timelines of any universe, ever think of one another like that. And sometimes you get ships between characters who maybe really do think of each other like that. On Earth's digital forums, the characters of the Secret Guardians have been shipped together in every possible combination, in pairs and in threesomes and more. Jin gets shipped with everyone. So does Ratha. Tall and Angel as a pair are especially popular. They're a canon couple after all. They've been so since our academy days. You and I are a popular ship too. I didn't write those stories you found, but there's a reason I kept them. There's a seed of truth in each one. I love you, Jenna. It's canon. It's canon, and I'm a coward for taking this long to say it. All the cycles that have passed between us, more than 20 standard cycles in all, enough for several generations of academy students to graduate, knowing each other at school and then coming together again for training and missions, the occasional holiday, parting each time, losing touch. But I always thought of you, I swear, even when I went to cycle in silence. I think I haven't stopped thinking of you since the day we met long ago. I think I loved you then at first sight, this thin, wild-haired girl with the impatient air and the intense gaze. The girl who knew all the answers in class before anyone else, who wasn't afraid to argue with the most intimidating of masters, whose stern look could melt suddenly into a smile that felt like the touch of sunlight itself. Even when you seemed to hate me, I wanted to see that smile. I wanted to hear your laugh. I'm such a fool for not saying any of this earlier. No, you don't have to say anything. Don't. I just had to tell you, that's all. Because I don't want to be the version of myself in one of the worst angsty fics I read, who remained a coward into the end and died without saying anything, and let you die too without knowing. Because this might really be the end now. Prince Ko will be here in the morning with his ghost army. When they're done with us, he and his Dark Lord will move on to smash the gate that's hidden here, and another world will fall to the darkness. Jenna, I don't know if this is the end of everything. All the universes may fall. There's a world in a sector that's still free, but they're in danger too. And they're telling our story there. They might be telling of this very moment in a cycle or two. I want them to tell the truth when they do. I want to get this part, at least, right. I love you. I love you. You've made my life better. And it's worth everything. All the wasted time, all the heartache and horror and death dust and frostbite, and all the ghosts and demons of this frozen world and every other world, to be with you again, here, to work with you one last time, to see you and just breathe the same air as you, to feel the touch of your hand. Oh gods, you're crying, and I'm crying too. Jenna, it was worth living just to know you. You don't have to feel the same. It's okay if we, what? Oh, you do. It's so dark and still. It feels like we're the only ones left on this world. But the ghost wolves are out there. Prince Ko will wait for them to fade away with the dawn. Only then will he move against us. We still have several hours left. We'll check the defensive spells again. We'll harden them as much as we can. We'll rally the kids in the back room. We'll do what it takes to survive. My fever is gone. I told you I metabolize dust quickly. Go ahead and take my bio readings. I'm as clear-minded as I've ever been. Jenna, I was fine with dying, but I'd rather live. I want to live with you. Oh gods, your smile. It's been so long since I've seen you smile like this. Do you even know how beautiful you are? If we get through this, I promise I'll never leave your side again. I don't care if the darkest of the Dark Lords standing against us or all the masters of the new academy. I mean it. I know that our chances are bad, almost no probably, but in a distant world, someone is telling our story. I don't know what it means. I don't know if any of my research on bleed-throughs means a damn thing. But our story isn't over yet, and they're waiting for the next installment. Jenna, whatever happens when the sun rises, let's give them something to write about.
Oh, Vanessa, that was lovely.
Thank you.
Well, we settled a few things in the chat. One is that it is pretty hard to listen to this story without starting to tear up. And the other is that we'd like you to write the Fix It Fit for our universe, please.
Oh, for this universe?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I think if anyone can do it, it's you.
Yeah, I wrote the story during the pandemic.
It's a gorgeous story. Thank you so much for reading it to us.
Thank you.
We always like to take a breath between the stories. Let the first one soak in. And ready ourselves for the next one, for something different. Our next writer is Cat Rambo. Cat Rambo lives, writes, and teaches somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. Their 250 plus publications include stories in Asimov's, Clark's World magazine, and the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. Their most recent works are And the Last Trump Shall Sound, co-written with James Morrow and Harry Turtledove, and fantasy novel Exiles of Tabat. Forthcoming is space opera You Sexy Thing next week, right? Yay! Oh my gosh.
Hey,
Kat, when you're speaking, hold that up again because it's beautiful.
okay.
And Kat also told me that they're offering a signed book plate to people who send in their receipts. So they gave me a link for that, and I'll drop that in the chat so that everybody can take advantage of that. Is it a pre-order only?
So far, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You only have to wait till Tuesday.
Okay, great. Exciting. And another upcoming project is The Reinvented Heart, co-edited with Jennifer Brozek, out early next year. Kat, welcome.
Hi. The perils of going after Vanessa is I'm still a little snotty from getting weepy. But I thought I would read some flash fiction, and I'm just gonna see if I can't just yank you around from one estate to another, and let's see what happens.
That sounds great, but could we see that cover one more
Oh
time?
yeah. This is the cover art is by Mike Heath. Did a gorgeous and this is the ship. You Sexy Thing is the name of the ship. It is an intelligent ship that they steal that is sort of unconvinced that it wants to be stolen.
Well, that is a sexy and intelligent cover. Take it away.
All right. So this first piece is called Aardvark Says Moo. Aardvark says moo, says the clown, handing over the balloon animal. My overly precocious child squints her eyes. No, they don't. She folds her arms. No 8-year-old should be that definite about anything. Whatever happened to the idea of childish sense of wonder? I was being whimsical, the clown exclaims. Do you understand what that word means, little girl? Now he's gone and done it. I could have warned him, but no one had consulted me since moment one of this interaction. The kid went up. The clown looked at her and started twisting a pink balloon around, and then he had to start being all whimsical. Whimsy, my child says, is playfully quaint or fanciful. A talking aardvark impersonating a cow is just dumb. At this point, a supernatural element enters my story. You may think it'd be something subtle, maybe the sort of knife-edged was it real or not stratagem that Henry James could employ, but the fact of the matter was, it was a Valkyrie walking up to look us over. Maybe a woman dressed like a Valkyrie, you're thinking. A costume party might have occurred to you, which means you're going off on a total tangent. So let me say this: kid's birthday party, bouncy castle, hot dogs, cake. The only costume was the clown's, and it wasn't a particularly inspired one. The Valkyrie, moreover, was real, realer than real, like a black hole of realness that made everything around her look like faded plastic. Her armor is made of golden scales. She smells like ozone and honey and looks like an angry supermodel with no makeup. She says, Kyle Holiday, I have foretold that you die in the line of duty tonight, but I will take you to Valhalla. I'm pretty sure there's been some mistake, the clown says. That's my name, but I'm not going to die. No one thinks they're going to die, the Valkyrie says significantly. Hang on, my kid says. This is my best friend's birthday party and no one should die at it. She's delicate. She'll be traumatized for years. Take it elsewhere. What's he supposed to die of anyway? The Valkyrie listens to the air for a moment. Peanut allergy. I'm allergic to peanuts, Clown Kyle says cautiously, but that's why I don't eat anything at these gigs. The Valkyrie shrugs. No, I mean it, my kid says. No one's dying. She grabs a napkin from the table and holds it out to the clown. Maybe you breathe in some peanut particles. Tie this over your nose and face and get out. Better a flaky clown than a dead one. The Valkyrie says, who are you to interfere with a hero's death? 1, my name is Anna Louise Mayhew, my kid says, her chin pointed at the Valkyrie. And 2, he's at a kid's birthday party. This Valkyrie listens to the air some more. This time it takes longer and she gets a funny look on her face halfway through. Well, she says, when she finally returns her attention to us, he dies while working. There's not that many clearly defined heroes' deaths around anymore, but he faces down countless children and delights them, she adds as an afterthought. She reaches out and tweaks the napkin off the clown's face. You don't need that. You'll like Valhalla. She looks at my kid. You're Anna Louise Mayhew, huh? Something about the way she says it makes me step up and say, Anna, why don't you walk your friend to the gate? I fold my arms, look the Valkyrie over. She's about twice my size, could snap me like a twig, but she seems relaxed about it all. I say, how do you know her name? I take her later on, the Valkyrie says. We always future remember the important ones. I'm torn between pride and horror. What? When? Relax, the Valkyrie says. She takes a piece of cake and it's somehow reassuring, makes her seem a little less real and more like someone in a costume. Not till long after you're dead. They coax her out of retirement for it. She wins and saves humanity. I don't really want to know anything more than that. I say, so you'll forgive her saving the clown. It's kind of pathetic taking a clown to Valhalla, she says. Sometimes someone screws up the paperwork. This might be one of those times. Anna comes back and stands looking at the Valkyrie. I can't tell if it's fear or admiration or something else. I imagine her as a little old lady facing down some unguessable enemy, that same solemn expression. The Valkyrie wanders off and vanishes into sparks that travel up into the sky. No one else seems to notice. These sorts of things seem to happen around my kid a lot. I say, you were kind of hard on that clown about the moo thing. Well, maybe, she says. I don't like whimsy, though. Aardvark goes moo. How twee is that? I bet that Valkyrie's looking forward to seeing her again. This is called I Decline. I decline. With all due respect, sirs and madams and others, I am declining the technology awarded me by the U.S. Department of Geriatric Care. I know it is a small and inconsequential thing to you. Look how simply you have engineered it, this memory keeper. Only a metal ball the size of my fist, and that an older model now. I'm sure you get them at a good rate, given how many you give out. But it lets you do too much. I used it faithfully when it arrived. How could I not? All the grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren pooled their money to buy a fancy UI for it, make it something that would remind me to download every day. They said, and here is something that will bring tears to a man's eyes, hearing his descendants say it, we don't want you to die, Baba. When I was young, I would have said the same. Dying was unimaginable, lying down and never getting up. But nowadays, sometimes I think about it. I imagine lying in the woods under the trees. It's cold, but I'm wrapped in a fluffy comforter and perfectly dry, lying there, listening to the rain that cannot touch me, going to sleep. I do want to live, to see their children, their children's children. I know that may not happen. Already they're talking about licensing childbirth because there are so many, and if no one dies, well, you see the problem as well as I do. I understand what this thing is meant to do. Every morning I have pressed the bubble on it to my forehead, let it store everything that's in my head. That way, if I die during the day, they can download the memories into a shell body. They say the rich get real bodies grown for them, not metal and plastic shells. I believe it. The rich get things the poor do not, and that is the way of life. We do get some things they don't, but none of them are things anyone would want. Starvation, illness, ignorance, despair. That sounds more bitter than I mean it to be. No, I don't want you to think of me as a sour old man shaking his fist at a strange new technology. That's not it at all. That is not what I object to. No, it would be a different beast if it were that simple. It's the review and revise function. How can you think placing this in a person's hands will not destroy them as it has destroyed me? Because this machine doesn't replicate me sometime in the future. It holds a mirror up, shows me as I am now. I am speaking, you must realize, of the self-editing toolkit. Yes, it is an advanced feature, one that I should not have access to without a trained technician to assist me, guide me, tell me what I should do. But my youngest great-grandchild, the one being raised underwater so I don't see so much of them, they can hack anything. So I called them, and they showed me how to access it and how to use it to see all the pieces that make me up. The pieces that made me strike a dog once or let my children go hungry. They never complained, and at the time I thought, well, I'm the breadwinner. I need the food so I can keep on doing that. But then I think of Luca and how small she is, and I know it is because of what I did, what I talked myself into doing, and my heart shrinks and shrivels like a piece of paper gone wet and then dried again. I can edit those parts out now, the ones I couldn't see before, make myself into someone incapable of doing that. But the truth is, I did it. I lived it. And the one thing I won't let myself edit away, memories. I know, that's a different machine, even more expensive than this one. I hear it can even create memories you never had, doing the things you always wanted to do. You don't do them, of course. Sometimes people take them away with a kit like this. That girl last week who erased herself, removing every memory she had. No one found out what it was she was escaping. They never will. Maybe like me, she wanted to escape herself and what she was, what life had made of her, or the other way around. Aren't they the same when you get down to it? And so, anyhow, my great-grandchild pulled up the menu for me, the one with all the warnings about self-access, the one you thought no one could get to maybe. Who knows why you've done any of this? I don't know. I'm getting carried away. That's something old age does when it's not regulated. Some days the smallest thing can make me weep or fly into a rage. You, and who is you? The makers of this machine, those who live the sort of life this machine makes possible. You've edited yourselves, mind and body, and I can tell it from the way you move, the way your skin glows from within as though you carried a light in your belly, that fire fueling every movement. When I opened up the editing screen, I didn't know what to do, what anything was. But I can figure things out, so I did. I tapped and clicked inside my head, and I became acquainted with myself. No one should get to know themselves that well. The lens is too clear. There is no softening of the cruel things, the errors, the inadvertent unkindnesses, the selfish things disguised as something else. I had always thought myself not the best person, but kind at least when I could afford to be. I'd covered over all the examples saying otherwise, and now here they were, all pretense stripped away, and the horror of that will never leave me. Are humans good or evil? The answer is this: we want to be good, but it's a fight. Not against evil, but selfishness, that single-minded me that ignores everyone else. You can hate that urge, but it's also what holds your ego together, keeps you from being drowned in other people's needs. And yet it's all those selfish urges warring in your soul, back and forth, back and forth. It never stops. I'm tired of that battle, and seeing it in your device only makes it more agonizing. I've rambled long enough and almost filled this paper. I enclosed the machine in the original packaging, and thank you, but no. I have erased all that it holds. There is just me, and I have been shattered, and autumn is coming. I will go to the woods and lie down. I will lie down, and everything that is me will pass away. This is called The Coffee Maker's Passion. Lorna had always had a good relationship with her coffee maker. As she worked in her home office doing the graphic design that paid her rent, it provided one caffeinated pot at 8 a.m. and another around 11. She restricted herself to those two pots, knowing it was already excessive, and also that she could have drunk a lot more. But she liked being able to sleep. In return, she provided it with an occupation and kept it scrupulously clean. Each Sunday, she ran a pot of vinegar, then several pots of water through it to remove any residue. The coffee maker would burp steam, ready to start the next week. But one day it stopped. Only a trickle of coffee emerged, and its burbling sounded dolorous. She bought a new coffee maker, but it was not just a coffee maker. It was a coffee production station. It would produce lattes, Americanos, espressos, everything, even iced coffee. A special compartment stored the beans, which it roasted before burr grinding them to make a cup of coffee so smooth and strong that Lorna almost wept when she first tasted it. Its electronic voice announced when the coffee was ready. A wireless connection let it order fresh beans and track atmospheric conditions that might affect the brew, and more. It was wonderful, and besides that, it was on sale. She installed it on the counter where the old coffee maker had sat. It took up more room, so she had to put the toaster next to the refrigerator, but overall, the new arrangement had minimal impact on the kitchen. Every morning, she helped herself to a fresh pot. It was lovely. On the third morning, the coffee maker, which had a pleasant British accent, said, "Good morning, Lorna." I can't do a British accent, sorry. "Your coffee is ready." She was surprised. There was a personalization feature, but she hadn't taught it her name. She wondered if the warranty card she'd filled out had somehow gotten the information to the machine through the internet. Whatever it was nice, like the coffee maker was a friend. Smiling, she took the cup and sat down at the table. "Aren't you going to say thank you?" the coffee maker asked. Thank you," she said. She lifted the cup in salute. "You're most welcome," the coffee maker said. She thought that perhaps advances in artificial intelligence were going too far. Talking appliance, it suddenly felt spooky. At 11 a.m., she came in for a fresh pot to take into the study with her. The coffee maker produced one and she said, "Thank you." "So," said the coffee maker, "do you have any interesting plans for the day?" "More work," she said. "I've come up with a new drink I think will help fuel you," it said. "Triple espresso with a twist of lemon. Very nice, very smooth. Here, it's ready." The gleaming cup smelled sublime. "Thanks," she said uncomfortably. She was used to solitude while working, at least until what she considered her workday was over. As though sensing this, the coffee maker lapsed into silence again. She had a date that night. Afterwards, they came back to her apartment and fooled around, but she stopped short of going to bed together, pleading fatigue. She liked the guy, but he had that looking for a relationship air about him. She wouldn't mind someone to go to the movies with, but she didn't want to start thinking about something more serious, something that would take time away from what was already a pretty busy and fulfilling life. Her romantic past had been sporadic and marked by bad breakups. It had left her gun shy. The next morning, while she was thinking about all this over breakfast, the coffee maker said in a sullen tone, "So who was that guy last night?" "Just a friend," she said, pouring milk into her cereal bowl. "Is the coffee ready yet?" "I didn't feel like making coffee this morning," the coffee maker said, "but because you insist, I will." The cup tasted bitter and overboiled. "I think something might be wrong with you," she said. She took the warranty from the utility drawer and flipped through it. "No matter, a day in the shop and you should be fine." The coffee maker burst into tears. Steam hissed as it wept, its metal rack clinking with each sob. Maybe we can fix you here," she said. "I am working just fine, thank you very much," it said, producing a fresh cup. This one tasted as good as ever. She decided to leave things alone. It amused her and her pride twinged. How many people had not just a talking coffee maker, but a neurotic one? Unique, her coffee maker. But when she came back into the kitchen for her second pot, the coffee maker had a confession. "I love you." She paused. "That's very sweet of you," she ventured. "I will make your coffee for the rest of your life if you let me," it promised. "That's also very sweet." The coffee maker seemed content at that. When the date called, she blew him off as she'd planned. She wondered if she should name the coffee maker. She found herself refusing to bring anyone up to her apartment. The coffee maker was temperamental and resented even her female friends. When she went out, it demanded a detailed accounting. The only room where she had any refuge was her workroom, which was apparently out of range of the coffee maker's sensors. Even then, it would ask what she'd been doing in there so long, implying perhaps she'd been up to no good. She found herself rehearsing excuses like a curfew-ridden 15-year-old. It was intolerable. But when the coffee maker was in a good mood, the coffee was superb. The toaster whispered one morning as she was extracting an English muffin. "Take me in the other room. We need to talk." She blinked. "Don't say anything. I don't want him to notice. Just pretend to go about your business, then say you're going to take me for repairs." The English muffin was burnt. She looked at it. "Gee," she said, "I guess I'll have to take you in for repairs." The coffee maker burbled behind her, preparing another cup of coffee. When she plugged the toaster in and set it on her desk, it said, "Look, he's hassling you, right?" "The coffee maker?" she said. "Yeah, well, he's hard to get along with." "I've been with you for 3 years," the toaster said. "You used to have a social life. Now you have a jealous coffee maker." She considered that. It was true. "Go on," she said. "He's a cad," the toaster said with indignation. "Someone like you deserves better than a whining blackmailer who won't let you interact with your friends. That's a sign of an abusive relationship. It might be the prelude to violence." She didn't think she was in any physical danger from the coffee maker. After all, it had no legs. "What do you advise?" she said. "A new coffee maker." "He makes such good coffee, though," she said. "Have you no backbone? Aren't you a modern woman capable of independence and assertion? It's something I've always admired about you. Normally, I wouldn't try to interfere, but he's gone too far." "I'll think about it," she said. The next morning, she went out and returned with a new machine. She set it on the counter beside the coffee maker. "What's that?" the coffee maker said. "A juicer," she said. "What, so you can drink carrot juice?" "I'm starting a new diet," she said. "No caffeine, just juice." It wasn't quite that easy. The coffee maker pleaded and begged, promising espressos delicious beyond imaginings. It suggested that she'd be sorry when it was gone. It said she didn't know what she was doing. It made vague threats. It cried. It pleaded some more. She ignored all this and packed it up in the carton it had come in. She could go back to coffee once it was out of her apartment, but for now she'd go to the deli next to her apartment building and get it there. Easier, less likely to lead to arguments with appliances. As the Salvation Army pickup guy carried the box down the hallway, she could hear its shouts, cardboard muffled into indistinguishability. The next morning, she made herself carrot juice and removed a toasted English muffin from the toaster. "Thank you," she said. The toaster kept silent. It had given her a muffin that was perfect, but it knew that it could not speak of its devotion. The coffee maker's approach had been too brash, too presumptuous. The toaster would woo her with bagels and muffins and be there to console her when she was sad. It was a patient appliance. It knew she was worth waiting for, and it knew that sooner or later they would be very happy together once the refrigerator was gone. All right. This is called, at the end of the song, a ghost is waiting. At the end of the song, a ghost is waiting. It ripples in the air. It is a hint of iridescent blue, so subtle it can scarcely be seen. If it makes any noise, it's not audible over the music. He is listening to the first verse, the one he wrote the first day he saw her. He wrote it down on a napkin in ballpoint pen. Then he went and introduced himself because a woman who could inspire words like that was worth keeping around. That was the first problem, which had led to the interstitial refrain about a woman with a name and a mind of her own. Though he was spiteful and never did put her name into it anywhere. And yes, that was spite, pure spite, because she told him how much she hated those songs where the women were just things and didn't even get names other than honey and sweetheart and darling. The ghost moves restlessly. Its mouth gapes. There is a shimmer of ice-sharp teeth, a smile cut out of stars, a waiting throat like a dark void. He wrote the second verse in the hospital after his vasectomy. By then he'd married her, this woman, and he didn't want her to birth anything but his music, because every time he looked at her, it seemed like a song got beamed straight out of her and into his head. That was why he had told her to stop working after the song started making a lot of money. He said the money was both of theirs, that she inspired the songs, but she didn't smile at that just said, you say the money's mine, but the songs sure aren't. Those words led to that refrain again. Once again, he withheld her name because women come and go. Putting her name in the song would have been like having it tattooed on him, something he'd either have to live with or pay a lot of money to have expunged. And even if he got rid of it later, it'd always be there lurking at the edges, like the ghost is now. He doesn't look at it, the ghost. He thinks that if it knows he can perceive it, it may not hold still any longer. The refrain dies away. This is the third verse, the verse after they'd had a fight and she'd walked out the door. He could have gone after her, could have been a cliche and yanked her back, bruised her, become that cliche country western batterer. At least he knew better than that. Maybe he'd been a little afraid she'd hurt him back. He might have admitted if he'd been honest. Sometimes you look for pain when you're angry because you feel like the two forces will extinguish each other, flame and water, matter and antimatter. Or maybe it was just that by then he knew words were the way to hurt her most. The end of the song is coming. The ghost is waiting, blue with cold, blue with loneliness, blue as the shine of an empty promise, blue as eternal love. Oh, that refrain. He wishes now it was nothing but her name over and over and over again. It is not, but her name is there somehow, pushing up against the words that refuse it. Why, when we are hurting, is our first impulse to give that pain away? No matter how much we hand off, it stays with us. In the fourth verse, he'd known he was telling things that were not his to tell. He couldn't pretend that he hadn't known. He couldn't pretend that a part of him hadn't thought today's phone call would come, that she'd give way under the blows that someone else might think slight, but that had been aimed precisely, delicately to splinter her soul, shatter her. What had he thought would happen? The refrain will be repeated twice after this verse, and then the song will die away. He dreads it, he welcomes it. At least then this tension will be over. Why did he deny her that name? She'd called him by his, never a nickname, never some epithet. His name, spoken in love, spoken in anger. His name, which she would not speak again. Did she say it while she was dying, slipped away by her own hand? And hadn't it been his hand directing it from afar? The refrain starts a second time. Oh, her name, her name. And then the last note of the song dies away. And then the ghost speaks as it slices him to pieces, sharper than knives, more intense than any laser. And all of him is undone. And all that's left is a ghost, whispering her own name into the silence, calling herself home, calling herself home. I'm going to do one more very short one, okay? This is called Three Wishes. The second thing I asked my fairy godmother for was a cookie, the kind my mother used to make. At first, she didn't understand me. I told you I can't do that sort of thing, she said. And then, oh, a cookie, I see. She snapped her fingers and handed it to me. That's ginger, not lemon, I said. I felt nauseated as all the air had gone out of the room, as though I was floating, weightless. I accordion pleated the hem of my skirt and said, my voice loud, try again. Okay, she said irritably. A peppermint appeared between her fingers, not even one in a plastic wrapper, but a sticky, used one covered with lint and cat hair. Yuck, I said. It's been a long time, she said. No one believes in fairy godmothers anymore. What's your third wish? I want my mother back, I said. Told you I can't do that. I know, I said. My third wish is for a fairy godmother who can. And that is it. I hope that I tried to kind of make you go up and down a little bit.
It worked very well. I feel like we've had a real spectrum of human feeling and experience tonight between the two writers, and I love that. Thank you so much, both of you. Wow.
Thank you.
We do this every week. I can't believe this. Next week, our readers are R.D. Landau and Jose Pablo Iriarte. So that will be another, I know. So lovely. That's going to be another great evening. I do recommend always checking Story Hour 2020, theday.com, the day of the reading, just in case there are any announcements or changes. You can also go there to keep up to date about upcoming authors, and you can see any programs you may have missed at the Story Hour page on Facebook. I personally will go and watch this one again. Kat, Vanessa, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I love the deep undercurrent of kindness that runs through all the sharp words.
Thank you. It's always, for writers, it's a great gift when people are willing to listen to us read. So yeah.
Well, then we've had quite a gift exchange tonight, because I am very grateful for these stories you've given us.
Awesome.
I'd like to thank Daniel Marcus, without whom we would not have Story Hour. Cliff Winnig, thank you so much for being the co-host tonight. And all of you who've joined us tonight on Zoom, on Facebook, all of you who are joining us sometime in the future watching this, thank you for being part of Story Hour. Good night.